Hi, I'm Kimberly Washburn, Curator of Education at the Florence County Museum. Welcome to October's Family Day at Home. This month, we're talking all about fall fun. And in this activity, we're celebrating Dia de los Muertos, or the Day of the Dead. Dia de los Muertos is a Mexican holiday. It's not a scary or morbid holiday, but a day to celebrate and respect our loved ones who have passed away. Let's get started. You're going to need to gather a few things from your Family Day at Home kit. You're going to need your black sheet of paper, your 2 small templates, your glue cup, your paint swab, a pile of small pieces of tissue paper, and your plastic bag with Q-tips and sequins. We're going to start by creating a dancing Calacas. A calaca is a skeleton, and it's one of the symbols that's used during Dia de los Muertos. We're going to be using Q-tips to build our calaca. So let's go ahead and dump out this bag and sort out the supplies that we have. So I'm just going to dump this right on my paper. I should have 8 full-sized Q-tips, 4 half-sized Q-tips, and 8 tiny Q-tip ends. 7, 8. All right. And then my little pile of sequins, I'm just going to push to the side. I'm going to be using those almost last. Okay, so in order to create our skeleton or calaca, we're going to be using our glue, our paint swab, and our Q-tips. So the first thing I'm going to do is create the ribs of my skeleton. And I'm just going to start by putting 3 lines of glue kind of in the center of my paper. And I'm going to glue down a Q-tip on each of these lines. You especially want glue on those 2 ends where the fuzzy part of the Q-tip will touch. And if you don't get quite enough, you can always sort of lift it up and add a little more. 2, and my 3rd rib. This glue will dry clear, so right now it looks a little bit messy, but once it's dry, you won't be able to see the glue. Okay, now we're going to create the spine of our skeleton by just placing 1 Q-tip on top of our ribs, or 3 horizontal Q-tips. And I'm just going to put a dot of glue on each of those ribs because it just kind of sits on top. Again, don't worry if you get a little bit of glue on your paper because it will dry clear. All right. Okay, so now we have the body structure of our skeleton. The next thing we're going to do is add the legs of our skeleton. So we're going to kind of create a V shape with our Q-tips, with 2 of our full-sized Q-tips. So I'm going to take 1 of my Q-tips and glue it down. In that V shape. Okay, just spread out your glue. Make sure it's going to connect with the fuzzy part of your Q-tip. It looks messy now, but it'll be fine when it dries. Okay, and so we have this part of our dancing skeleton prepared. These are just the base of the legs of our skeleton. And then we are going to create the rest of the legs by sort of bending them as if these were the knees of our skeleton. So I'm just going to kind of bend mine to the side here. You could play with the arrangement of the legs. Maybe you want his legs to come in like this. If these were his knees, maybe you want the legs to come in. Maybe you want them to go in different directions. It's up to you. Maybe you want one kicking up like that. That's kind of fun. I might do that one. Okay. So again, I'm just going to glue down some glue where my skeleton's legs will be. There's his legs. And I'm going to use 2 of these little tiny small guys as his feet. So I'm just going to grab those, decide where I want them to go, and put a dot of glue and stick it there. Okay, so now I have my skeleton's body and his legs. They're ready to go. The next thing I'm going to do is create my skeleton's arms. He's going to have 2, he or she is going to have a shoulder. These are his shoulders, sort of near his ribs here, his shoulders, and then his elbows. Mine's dancing like this. So I'm just going to kind of position them. You can play around with the position depending on what dance your skeleton is doing. And then just get them glued down. Once you're happy with the position, you can get them glued down. Okay. The kind of glue we're using is tacky glue, so it's pretty thick. It'll hold on to those Q-tips really well, and it won't soak into the paper as easily. All right, and then now we're going to use 3 of these small Q-tips at the end of each hand as if they were fingers. So I'm just going to put 3 dots, 1, 2, and 3, and just set those little fingers down. Okay. All right, so now we have a skeleton body made out of Q-tips, but our skeleton needs a head. Our Calaca needs a head. So the next step is going to be to get his head ready. I'm going to slide this out of the way, and you're going to want to find your small white sheet with the skull on it. Now you're going to need your scissors to cut that out, and if you have a black marker, you can use your black marker to draw a face on your skeleton. I'm going to start just by drawing some teeth, and I'm going to do that just by drawing a vertical line, or 3 vertical lines and 1 horizontal line. And I'm going to give them some eyes, nice big eyes. You can draw your skeleton's face however you want. This is what mine looks like right now. And I'm gonna make him a nose. It's a little like an upside down heart shape for his nose. All right. So now that is my skeleton's face. And I'm going to just cut out around the outline. So you can think about what kind of face you want your Calaca to have. All right. And once you have that cut out, you can just set it to the side. We're also going to give our skeleton a traditional hat. So I have a sheet of paper here that I've got the template traced on, and I'm just going to cut this out. You could also use your black marker to draw some patterns or designs on this sheet of paper. This is just some scrap paper that we're using to do this with. All right, so these are cut out and I'm ready to add them. So I'm going to get my skull positioned on the paper. and flip it over just to add a few dots of glue to the back and position it right over the top of the spine. And then also add some glue to the back of my hat. And I'm going to position that on his head. I'm going to have mine slanted a little bit because his hand is in the way. So far, my dancing Calaca is looking great. Now, with these little sequins, you could use those to create decorations on your Calaca's hat. Might put a few of them here. Maybe one here. And maybe this one with it. Like that. I could also use them around the outside of my artwork on the edges. Flowers are another important part of the Dia de los Muertos celebration, specifically marigold flowers. Marigold flowers are a symbol of life and death in the Mexican culture, and they're an important part of this celebration. So, let me show you how to use some small tissue paper pieces to make some marigold decorations for your artwork. So we have some different colors of tissue paper here. And all I'm gonna do, I'm gonna slide this out of the way a moment. I'll show you how I'm gonna do this. I'm going to put a small dot of glue in the center of one of my tissue paper squares. And I'm just going to glue 3 tissue paper squares together, all on top of each other. Now, I might want to use my scissors to turn these squares into circles. They don't have to be perfect circles. You could even kind of make them sort of curvy circles, just to add some interest to your flowers. Okay, and then you're gonna grab a pen or a pencil or your marker if you already have that handy, just like that. Kind of push this down over the bottom end of your pen or pencil. You're gonna put a little glue on that tip, and then you're just gonna dab it down on your paper. And when it opens up, you have a little marigold flower. Now, you might want to do these with different colors on top, or maybe just one color. It only takes a tiny dab of glue. And you can add marigold flowers as a symbol of celebration for Dia de los Muertos. Add as many tissue paper flowers as you would like, or sequin decorations to create your dancing Calacas to celebrate the Mexican holiday of Dia de los Muertos.